is No Media, where we discuss media related topics at ease. So today we will be discussing about steps of research and how to write a research proposal. These are the foundation of any academic or applied research, whether in social science, education, business, or health studies. So let's divide its right in. What is research, as we have discussed in our previous classes, previous lecture. Now we will be further moving on to the steps of research, and it is pretty much evident from this particular page is that there are broadly 8 types of researches, 8 steps of researches. First of all, we need to identification of research problem. Any research must be identified in the very first step. Step number 2, following with the preparing stage, preparing the research design, how our research is going to be conducted. Third, the instrumentation, following with the sampling techniques. And the fifth comes collecting data. After data collection, we have data processing and analyzing, writing a research report, and finally we conclude with the recommendations in research. And one thing we must understand, not every research is foolproof. There always remains a gap which continues in the further literature review part. So moving on with our first part, that is research is not something we jump into randomly. It follows a very systematic and organized sequence of steps. Let's go through this one by one, and I will explain each with simple examples. Alright. So step number 1, what is step number 1? Identification of research problem. This is the first and most crucial step in any research, be it media research, be it in any other form of research. You need to identify what you want to study. For example, if you are interested in education, you might ask, does the use of digital tools improve students' engagement in classroom? This thing also is being under research process. So the first step states that the question, I must know my problem. What is my problem? The researcher's problem. Does the use of digital tool improve student engagement in classroom? In this step, conduct a literature review. First of all, we need to conduct a literature review, a clear set objectives. The identification of problem leads to a clear set objectives. Then we need to formulate hypothesis. In the previous lecture, we have discussed about hypothesis. You can go and watch that video. But for now, I am assuming that you know what is hypothesis. A formula, then we must generate the null hypothesis, the alternate hypothesis, that's separate issue. But what we are concerned about today's lecture is that the steps of research. And in first, the identification of research problem states that having a literature review, setting the objectives, and formulating research hypothesis. Like students using digital tools will show higher engagement level than those who don't. So this is my hypothesis. After the following the 8th step, we will be concluding that whether my hypothesis is correct, whether my hypothesis is right or wrong. So as I have discussed the literature review, the objective, and the hypothesis, then we will be quickly moving on to the second step, which is the preparation of research design. Now we have set our literature review, we have set our objectives, we have set our hypothesis. The second step demands the preparation of research design. Once the problem is clear, decide how the study it is. Research design can be divided into 3 parts, as it is pretty much explained over here: exploratory, experimental, and non-experimental. So what is this? What of this term states? Exploratory means a pilot study. Pilot study means the researcher is exploring something, exploring to find the new findings, to gather new knowledge. In the research, in the introductory class of research, we have discussed about what is research. So I am not talking about research right now. I am just concerned about the steps of research. So in steps of research, the exploratory part deals like a pilot study. Then comes the experimental study. As the name suggests, it is pretty much self-explanatory. Experiment means you are experimenting with your variables, right? So like testing a new teaching method on 2 groups. There are 2 groups. One is cohort groups and other experimental groups. The researchers makes it for their own sake, for the purpose of the research. But like testing a new teaching method on 2 groups, we are making the 2 groups. That's the preparation research design, how we are going to conduct that particular research. And another type preparation stage comes, that is non-experimental. That means in like collecting data, yesterday we have talked about data collection part. So in non-experimental part, like surveys, this design acts like a blueprint for your entire study. The while I am studying, this acts like a blueprint. This design acts like a blueprint. All right. So now quickly moving to the third step, which is the instrumentation. So in instrumentation, here you decide type of data, the method of data collection, the design your research tools like a questionnaire or interview schedule. You must schedule your questionnaire, you must schedule your interview, how you are going to conduct that particular research. So type of data, it can be as primary and secondary, which we have already discussed in previous lessons. And in this quick rapid revision class, we won't be taking this too long. We know, I am assuming that you know what is primary data and what is secondary data. Moving forward to the methods of data collection, it can be survey, it can be interview, it can be observation as well. Now design your research tools like a questionnaire or interview schedule. This must be a very important point, because instrumentation, how I am going to gather my research data, how I am going to conduct my research. Now moving on to the fourth point, which is the sampling techniques. You can study everyone, right? You cannot study everyone. Is it possible to study the whole population? No, it's absolutely not. So you select a sample, and random sampling, suppose you are taking random sampling like picking names from a lottery, it can be any randomized number. And the other thing which we have, the non-random sampling like purposive sampling, the where we choose participants based on a criteria, it can be snowball sampling as well. So in this particular sampling part which we have already discussed, you can check. But now coming to the fifth point, which is collecting data. Data collection. Once your sample is ready and tools are prepared, it's time to collect data through number one, observation. How you are collecting data? You can observe stuff, you can interview people, you can prepare questionnaires, and you can schedule things. Let's take a quick example. If you're studying online learning, you might interview students about their experience, right? Experience is very important. How they're feeling, how they're experiencing, that's very important. So you must experience certain things. Now quickly moving on to the sixth step, that is the data processing and analyzing. After collecting data, do coding and tabulation. All right. So data, you have collected the data, you code the data, you tabulate the data. Use tools like SPSS, Excel, or nowadays we have many ICT tools where we collect data, where we process data, where we analysis data. So this is ICT, information and technology based education system, where researchers are also being engaged with certain ICT tools. Now to test hypothesis, there is a significant difference in engagement between groups, because we know our major objective is to test hypothesis, whether it is true, whether it is type 1 error or type B error, alpha error, beta error, that we have discussed. Now coming to the seventh point is the writing the research report. You have completed all the 6 steps successfully, and it's after taking all the steps, all the data, all the preparatory phrase. Now you are concluding, you are writing the report, you are writing your observation. Now document your work. A typical report includes a table of content, chapters, citations and reference, and finally appendix. Okay, all right. Now include your questionnaire in the last part, appendices, where consent form of in the appendix is very much needed. Otherwise what will happen, it won't be a valid research, right? Now step number 8 states that recommendations in research. As a researcher, you must recommend. Lastly, based on your findings, highly the importance of research, suggest practical interventions. Now what you have observed, that you must suggest, that's your research work, right? Now in the next part we will be studying about how to write research proposal. It's very important. Writing research proposal, it's in nowadays it's a quite cumbersome task, because we have many thoughts, but it must be channelized in a proper way. So how to write a research proposal? A research proposal is a plan submitted before conducting research. Before you are conducting your research, you must write a research proposal. Let's see what it should include. Number one, introduction. Introduction, it states the problem. It can be provided a summary of research, typically in 800 to 1000 words. Let's take another example. The same example as I have told earlier, it will be easier for us to understand that online learning methods and their impact on student engagement in Indian college. Number two, literature review past studies you can do. Thematic review, like grouping studies by topic. theme-based reviews like comparing past and recent studies mentioned, the objectives, the hypothesis, and the research question, which is also known as the RQ. Number third step of writing a research proposal is you have to conduct the research methodology. You have to state the research methodology with whom you want to conduct. All right. So research methodology broadly can be divided into four parts: the research design, the research procedure, the sampling procedure, and the tool of data collection. The research design states qualitative and quantitative, or it can be both mixed. All right, it is also known as triangulation method. The second step is that research procedure universe. That means which particular sample I am taking, that is my universe. Who you will study, the location. The sampling procedure includes the random or non-random sampling, that also must be mentioned before conducting the research. In the proposal, these are the main things which must be already mentioned, which must be mentioned before proposing or before starting the research. Finally comes the finding and conclusion, what you are expecting with data. That means it is all about your literature review. So predict what you hope. Predict, remember the term predict. You are predicting, because in the proposal, in the pre-research phase, in the proposal phase, you are not aware of the conclusions. So what you are doing, you are predicting what you hope to find and how you will present it using graphs, charts, and tablets. Okay, it can be tables as well. And conclude what study might reveal. That is the main thing. You must conclude that what you are studying. And finally the citation part, because other than citing part, you might get plagiarism. All right. So citation can be in APA style and MLA style. American Psychological Association, they have different styles, and MLA, we have different styles as well, Chicago and all. So that's our quick 10-minute revision class. I repeat, this is revision class, this is not the full detailed explanation video. So that's our 10 minutes review of the steps of research and how to write a research proposal. I hope this makes the research process clearer for you. If you find this helpful, please like, share, and comment with your research topic ideas below. I would love to hear them. See you in the next live class. Take care and happy researching.